Alright, in this section we're going to be looking at percentiles. Now percentile is a measure of locations. It's denoted by the capital letter P. Percentiles divides the data set into 100 groups with about 1% of the values in each group. Let's take a look at a concrete example of this. Here we can see when we're looking at the percentile of 50. So about 50% of the data values are below it or less than that value, and about 50% of them are above it. So we can see if we've already organized our data and calculated our median is actually the same thing as our 50th percentile. Now let's take a look at a different problem. Here we've got P25, so I'm looking at my 25th percentile. So take a few moments and think about this particular problem and think about what percentage of the data values are going to be below my P25 and what percentage of the data values are going to be above it. I'm going to have about 25% of the data values below or less than the numerical value that represents the P25, and about 75% of the data values are going to be above it or greater than that value. So looking at P25 here, we're going to see that it's in fact 64. Now let's take a look at finding the percentile of our pulse rate. So we're going to take a value and we're going to go through and find out what percentile it is in this class pulse rate data. So the first thing you need to do is get your pulse rate, because I know right now we're working with data from a different class. So get your own pulse rate, jot that down, and then let's get ready to work through with it. As a practice, let's start with my pulse rate. So my pulse rate was 72. So here's my pulse rate in our class data set. And to figure out its percentile, we're going to count the total number of values that are less than X. In this case, my pulse rate is 72, so it's going to be 14 if we count those down. And then we're going to divide that by the total number of data values, which in this case is 20. And we're going to divide it by, and we're going to take that and times it by 100. So let's go through and do those computations. We should see that we'll get a P of 70. Thus, we're looking, the pulse rate value of 72 is in the 70th percentile of this class pulse rate data. Okay? Now take a few moments and go through this for your own pulse rate. Get that calculated. Make sure you follow the correct steps. And then when you're done with that, turn the video back on and we'll move on to looking at a different calculation. All right, the next thing we're going to be looking at is converting a percentile to a data value. And to do this, we're going to use the formula here. So let's first start off by identifying the parts of the new formula we do know. So we know already that n is the total number of data values. And in this particular case with the pulse rate data, we've got 20 data values. So that's going to be our n. Now looking in the book, find what the symbols of the new symbols mean for this formula. Here we can see that k is the percentile being used. So for example, if I was looking at the 25th percentile, my k would equal 25. The L is the locator that gives the position of a data value. So if I was looking for a data value that it was in the 12th value of a sorted list, that would be my L equals 12. So let's take a look at this with a couple of examples. Here we have the class pulse rate. We have a percentile of P8. So we want to know where P8 falls in the class pulse rate data. So remember, the 8 represents what my K is. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to plug it into this formula, and I'm going to get L is equal to 8 divided by 100, and then I times it by n, which in this case is 20, and I get 1.6. Now, stop for a moment and go, what is the rounding rule for percentiles? So what do I do here? I've got 1.6. Is this my value? Do I need to do anything with it before I proceed? Well, the rounding rule is that we round up to the next largest whole number. So my actual is going to be equal to 2. So if I take 2 and I count 2 from the bottom up, we can see that 61. So my P8 for this particular data set is equal to 61. All right, now go through and try the same steps, following for P78. Pause the video while you do that, and when you've got your answer, turn it back on and let's check it together. Okay, you should have gotten 16 for your rounding rule, okay? So if we go and we count that up, 16 values, you're going to see that you're at 72. All right, so this concludes our work with looking at percentiles. Next up, we're going to be looking at box plots and 5-number summary.